Alright, what we got here is a 2006 Trailblazer SS. And this was originally an all-wheel drive truck and was bought as a roller. So my customer had an '08 two-wheel drive version and he brought it to me. I did a cam, headers, converter, tuned it, that sort of stuff. And then he crashed the truck and found this truck to swap everything in. I was busy with his Impala. He's the one that had that red big block Impala that I was working on. So he thought he could take it to this other shop and they would just swap everything over and get it running for him and he'd be done with it. Well, here we are after, I think it's been to 2 other shops already, and it's ended up back here. So his truck was an '08, this is an '06. So his motor is 58X and this truck is 24X. And this connector right here that goes to the ECU has been completely, every single wire in it has been cut and spliced, and not all of them are the same color. You can see that's different colors. I don't know who did this, why they did it. Maybe this connector was bad and they switched it with another one and pinned it correctly. Doubtful, but the truck would crank up. It would crank up and drive and everything in limp mode. There was nothing you could do to get it out of limp mode. I scanned it, no codes, nothing came up. Tried to follow some of the pins and everything, but really didn't have the time to dig into it. And so we talked about it, and I said, look, if we go to Holley, we can make the Holley run it, and I'll integrate it as best I can into the truck, and then at least it'll run and drive for you, and you can have future provisions for future upgrades if need be. So what I've done here is I've gone ahead and pulled the wiring harness out, pulled the connectors apart, and depinned everything that we're not using that the Holley's going to run. So we've got the transmission, the knock sensors, the O2s, the injectors, the coil packs, and all that sort of stuff. So it's fully depinned from this ECU, and now what I'm doing is tracing these wires back into this fuse box. So what I'll do is I'll use the power wires I need from here to run my Holley, and I'll put these connectors back together and plug it back into the ECU and TCM, so all that'll still function as it should. Then I'll split the the crank signal and let the factory computer share with the Holley. But I'm not sure, that may not work, because all I need it for is the tach. I want the tach to work, so I'm not sure. I'm going to try it that way and see if it works. The other thing I was thinking about was the Holley has it has an output. That's probably what I can do, is just play with the IOs or something and send it what it needs. But this is a Terminator Max. It just came in yesterday. We've been waiting probably a month or something to get it. I guess on back order or something from Summit, but I finally got it in, and I pulled it in and started taking everything apart and stripping the harness down and getting everything ready to integrate this in. So this harness is, well, not this harness, but we had the harness for drive-by-wire. What I would like to do is figure out if this is pinned properly with this, because I'm not sure which connector the throttle body goes to, on which plug it goes to on this ECU. But the way I did it on my Caprice, when I piggybacked it with the Dominator, I went to the pedal and found a wire in the pedal that had a 0 to 5 volt reference. So at no throttle it was 0, and at wide open it was 5 volts. And I tied that wire into the terminator and set the Dominator and the Caprice. I set it up to drive-by cable and did the TPS auto set, so it got the 0 to 5 volt signal from the pedal, and then the truck ran the drive-by wire, so it ran the pedal and everything. The reason I did it that way is so cruise control would work, and that car, the Caprice, is a 6L80, so it still has the mass airflow. I upgraded to the slot style, and there's a lot more in the Caprice than in this. Since this is a 4L60 truck, the Terminator will be controlling the transmission and everything, so it'll run and drive off the Holley, and then I'm just trying to send what I need to the dash, so he'll have his gauges and everything will still work. So, you know, obviously I've left the sensors down here for this goes down for the air conditioner. So I've left all that in the harness and just pulled out everything else that I'm not using. And then, like I say, I'll take this harness, I'll lay it over, plug everything in, integrate it in with this harness, run it down and let it run the transmission, the wideband, and that sort of thing, and then figure out what I need to get the gauges. So I'm not sure where I want to mount the Holley. You know, in their universal wiring kit, it's too long to put it here, and then you got a bunch of wire coiled around itself, and then it's too short to put it there, and it's just never the right length. I found it's always just a debacle. But I'll probably keep it somewhere under the engine bay, I guess. The Terminators aren't potted like the Dominators are, so you have to be a little more cautious of where you mount it to make sure moisture isn't a concern. So I guess I'll probably lay out the harnesses, kind of see where it's putting me, and kind of go with that. Maybe there's a good spot somewhere out of the way, away from heat and moisture and everything. Get that integrated, and then try to make the gauges and everything else work. So this will be the first time I've messed with drive-by-wire and Holley. Like I say, hopefully I won't be. If I can set it up drive-by cable, get the 0 to 5 volts from the pedal, and then let the truck run the throttle. Again, if I can figure out if there is a discrepancy between the throttle body plug and this harness over here. So see how it goes. I'll try to do a couple update videos on how it goes and what I've learned with it, and you know, maybe help somebody else that wants to integrate in the Holley to have more control over the engine, have some safety set up, and you know, it's just a better system to go with. I prefer the Holley obviously over stock ECU just for the range of tuning ability versus the stock stuff. So but you know, the Holley's a little bit of money, but in this instance, his other truck, whoever pulled the engine and everything out, they just cut the harness off like here, just cut it off. Because I went and looked at his other truck to see, you know, if I could, you know, try to mess with that harness or something. But I mean, it amazes me how people they would rather just cut it here instead of taking the time, which there's really not that much time difference to go over and, you know, unplug it versus, you know, just cutting it. I mean, it's that easy. All you got to do is unplug it. And I mean, I did not do this. I promise you, I did not do this. You ought to see. While we're at it, let's look at this. This is what they have. This is how they did the wiring for the coolant temp. Almost as bad as the guy with the Nova. Almost as bad. So anyway, hopefully next video I'll have the harness in and be trying to wire everything up and hopefully figuring something out and cleaning up this mess. So that's it.